this meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Lawson,
Here.
Kinsey,
Here.
Mossberg, Klein,
Here.
Parker,
Here. And we have a quorum, so we'll move on. Item 3, approval of minutes of regular meeting held July 11th, 2022.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
And we'll go on to the next item 4, report from staff, city council report.
We did have, so at the last meeting I announced that we'd be interviewing a business manager candidate. We did have that interview and it went really well. In fact, the gentleman is someone that we aren't able to bring on full-time right now because of his prior obligations, but Leroy also has begun in a consulting capacity for the city of Alva. He's not the business manager or anything, but he is helping me and some of our department heads with his background, knowledge, and expertise to help us get through navigate this transition. He is one that we are still we would be interested in negotiating further, as far as the business manager position is concerned. He's just not able to take it at this time. I have been, we've got agenda items related to the AWAS, so we'll just do that when we get there. Got the financials there with you. Guess if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
What's the status of the agriculture lease? Where are we at on that?
The attorney, both our attorney as well as the attorney with the municipal league has reviewed our statutes as well as the other government documents for the state regarding municipal airports, and the decision made by the airport board was final. It did not require city council action. So by mistake, I sent that to city council, but their action is void.
That's why I assumed since somebody was parking. Anything else?
Oh, and the interest rate did go up this time on the CD. I don't have it handy with me, but it went up again. So.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of the mayor?
Do you guys still use that website for the, what do you call it, Click It, Fix It, whatever that is? Is that still active?
It is still active, but it's not monitored regularly. That's what I'm finding out. So I've had Chief Miller looking at some of the notification settings on that to see if we need to do something different, or maybe train our staff, some of our other new staff, on how to use it properly. But
I know at one point it was encouraged to use that to have potholes or trash containers fixed or whatever. I have had stuff on there at times for up to 6 months with nothing, no response at all. So is that the appropriate way to still go, or is contacting that specific department the proper way to go?
no, I think you can use it. I don't know that it's the most effective way to get a resolution or an issue brought up.
Okay.
So.
With the previous city manager, was very strong on you, so I didn't know. So contacting that specific department is the...
Either City Hall or what, I mean, it depends on the department, I guess, which one.
So with absence of city manager, who do you talk to?
Me. Well, or Heather. Heather did the direct things where they need to go.
So she's got the full time.
You can still, I mean,
Because I went on the website and I clicked some links that were on there for like emails, and it said not valid. I never could get through, so I didn't know if those links were broken or non-active, or so I was at a loss at times as to where to go, and I didn't know if that was in the process of being changed to a new site or
that was that water line, right?
that incident was a water line. I had used other links in the past and they just didn't work.
Okay. You know, I know with water lines, if you go to the water department, it's got an emergency phone number to call. I think if it's after hours or weekends and you need to get somebody, Woods County Dispatch is who fields those calls for us. And it wouldn't matter what department on that. But during, you know, regular business hours, you know, you're in the office usually before 8, but I'd say 8 to 5.
Okay.
Just call City Hall, and even if Heather's not there, whoever's there can get your call routed to the correct person. Brian Miller is actually in charge of the operations side of things right now, so you know he would be a more appropriate phone call than me.
Thank you.
Speaking of water lines, it looks like we've got 3 leaks out here in the front yard. Water leaks too. Where the grass is, it isn't being run. It's holding water from the water leak. I was on schedule.
I hadn't even. I didn't
Grass
know
is
they were
pretty
doing
green,
that.
so I mean,
Well, when you leave, there's, in the 3 spots now, Derek,
yeah,
Where
there's
there-
one that's been here for quite a while.
it's been here for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, and then there's another one down east that's been there for quite a while too, and this last one just started up last fall or last summer. The one in between. It's right in line with that main water
Have
line.
they been reported to the
Yeah.
water department?
Yeah, so
Have you told Drake?
I don't want to throw anybody in there. You know, I've reported it several times to proper people.
Just- I don't know, they're not big leaks, but
Them fail, it's starting to get bigger diameter.
yeah, it just leaves a spot out there where Derek can't find it.
We just sprayed it, but it always comes right back.
I'll let Drake know, all right.
Anything else on the city council report or questions for the mayor or anything? If not, we'll go on down to item 4B, airport manager's report.
Really thought this last month was going to be kind of slow. I mean, jet traffic was slower, but I really thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought low lead would be slower, but it actually picked up quite a bit. So I did lower the price so we could attract more people, so I wouldn't be just stuck with the $6.40 gas. So later on, when the fuel prices go down, I can make it a little later then. But the fuel prices are trending down for now, so I guess we'll see what they how that goes.
Do we have good addresses for these guys that are 120 days overdue on their bills for aviation fuel?
No, I didn't even look at that. I'm sure we've got their addresses. I don't know if we've ever really sent anything. When we sent it, we probably sent to them, but I think we got addresses for everybody.
Okay,
I'll look at that more. I didn't even look at that this time. Been kind of on. It's been kind of busy here these last few weeks. Mainly, I took a lot of time off last month, so I might be they gotta take time off, so I don't really know. I know what's going on, but, you know. The mowing has slowed down. The only thing really growing was the weeds there for a while, but now that last rain, everything's kind of greened up again, so looks like we're going back at it. Rose Plumbing came, fixed the leak in the storage room. I had to wait forever for a kit to be placed in that backflow regulator, so there's no longer a leak down in there. These drain lines in the storage closets were plugged up. I thought it was our outside units clogged up and was causing condensation, which was coming in through the carpet under there, but it was actually the drains were clogged up, so he got those unclogged, so now everything's good to go there too. And I know this was earlier on in the year, but I'd really like to give another shout out to Ranger Automotive, because I know it took a while for that avgas truck to get going, but I haven't had any issues with it. Knock on wood, I guess, but every time I go out there, it starts right up. It's just made life a lot easier out here. So,
And the pump is working?
yeah, everything's, so kudos to him for getting that going. Due to the OCC test, that the inspections that we didn't do, TNC testing came out, took care of our tank inspection and tightness test, and then what they couldn't do, CCC testing came and did the spill bucket overfill and sump testing, so we are good to go with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. But after one of the testing, it flipped a breaker, so the Jet A pump wasn't working. It was, and it couldn't happen at a worse time because our truck was about empty too. And so I was scrounging around calling people, and double check came. Ended up while they were doing one of those testing, it flipped a breaker, so it works now. So next time I know to check those breakers. So I don't know what's gonna come of that.
What size circuit? 20 amp or like bigger?
It was just on the side of the building over there, and they just flipped those breakers. It's just for the sensor. I've got it on the paper, and I just forgot to bring it in here. But once I flipped those on, the sensor deal restarted, and the pump and everything started going. So you could hear it right off the bat.
So that's not something that happens all the time, I guess.
No, it's just, I guess when they do that sensor test, I don't know if it flips it every time and they should have flipped it back or what, or if they just, sometimes it does it and they just,
They put some kind of load on the circuit.
yeah.
So you think they turned it off manually?
I just think they flipped it whenever they did their test, so whatever they did, flipped that breaker and we had to put it back. So, well, tripped the breaker, then we flipped it. So, and I have been going through the hanger leases, kind of going through to see who's, we've got some people in that I need to get them to, that we need to get their leases going. They're paying their leases, they just haven't signed one. So I'm going to go through that a little bit more. I went through, and this is kind of something to think about too for fall projects. When it comes to not spending a lot of money, but I measured out the hay barn and everything to paint the roof with some paint, and the south shear kind of cover some, seal some of those holes so it quits leaking in there, and then some aluminum paint to go around the outside of the hay barn. I really think for about $2,000, $2,500 we can probably get that done and painted this fall.
Just painted or sealed and painted?
Sealed, yeah, the roof's sealed, painted. Well, it's a mixture. It's a sealing paint, and then the aluminum paint around the hay barn.
About 2,000 is an estimate for the hay barn?
And the roof there, yeah. So, I would think if we did it ourselves, I think we could get it $2,000 to $3,000 probably. So, just trying to get me up there on the roof might be the difficult part. But also, I meant to get in touch with Big Slick Graphics to try to see about new signs for the hangers. And I know as I was going around, some of them are numbered like North Sheriff's number 5, Hay Barn's number 3 and 4. I just need to figure out exactly what we want to name or to put those on there on each one before I start kind of getting that kind of stuff, and then getting like a terminal sign here so people know where to go rather than having to get on the radio. Other than that, I laid on you guys' table each one for the Syntec Fuel Master. It's an upgrade. This is just something to think about too for future. I really just put it on there for future reference. It's an upgrade for the Fuel Master out there. It's just for the head. So that wouldn't replace the pedestal, but it would put a head on there that would eventually, would work all the time. It's cellular, and it would take the chip card. So,
And something like this, like if we were to eventually get an above ground fuel system, this would be transferable to that?
yeah, we could just move the whole thing that way. I just kind of thought about it really because it seems like in the evenings, I don't know why it's just the evenings, I don't know if it's that hot sun that I get some phone calls every once in a while saying the pump doesn't, or that it's not taking my card, so I have to come out and put the key in. So I called them and they were actually pretty quick to get back with me, so I just slipped that in there for a discussion deal for future reference.
So if there was like a problem with it, where do they come out of to work on it?
They actually got some places here in Oklahoma, so Oklahoma City.
Like one-day response or 1 week?
I'd imagine you can call and they could probably maybe walk you through something if it's just something technical, but if it's something in there, I mean, I don't imagine it would take them.
One of my concerns is always this, how quickly we can get something fixed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, for what we got now, all we have is our IT people and the phone call to the tech, so.
Does this amount fall under the ability of the, I forget, the airport manager, the city manager to?
It would fall underneath my spending limit.
Mine's 5,000.
Which is 5,000.
I was just looking through the budget.
And like I said, this is just for the head. The pedestal would stay along with the receipt. All they would do is come. And they said it would only take them probably about 3 hours to install and get going. So, and then of course we'd have to do the training software. I think that's included in the quote there.
Is it compatible with the hardware we got?
Well, with our point of sale, with the AFPOS and that, yeah, I'd have to get the new Fuel Master system put on the computer to pull the reports and everything. But that's, like I said, that's included.
I mean, is this a future agenda item, more research?
Well, I thought I'd just put it down as a reference for down the road.
Yeah, it's just kind of down the road, because I know we've got a lot of money coming out here soon. It's just, if something ever happened and,
That system's working fine, except for once in a while you get called
yeah,
out.
once in a while, it actually happened 3 times last month, but it's just a dead young I don't know if it was the west sun hitting that. Because I know every once in a while we get some money that comes in that you could put towards something like that CARES fund, but I don't know if we'll get those anymore.
We will have another round of CARES funding. We actually, I mean, we've already, I just need to get the, I need to get with Toby after this and get it done. And I can't remember the amount, but it would be enough to cover this.
I know that we're talking about putting that towards the fuel, but it can actually be put
Well, I mean,
towards this.
What we would do is we would put it towards the fuel that we've already purchased.
Right.
And then it would just be money it would just be revenue that we could use for then other expenses too. I mean, because we've already paid for the fuel we purchased. So,
If we were to change that, will we go with this system, or are there other systems out there we need to look at?
There's only one other that I know of, and that's the QT pod, but it was, whenever I got the quote for that last time, it was like 24, because they'd have to do the whole thing. You know, come in and put the whole thing. This would be an upgrade, and it would still fix, and for a long-term period, it would fix that issue.
so is there anything that would still be a concern after this?
I don't think so, because it's all cellular, so it wouldn't be, we'd have to rely on our internet, so.
Well, we'll see what we can get in the way of funding and then bring it up at a later date.
Action item next month if we can.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it on the agenda, we don't have to act on it.
yeah.
This was all like a one-time cost, but then is there,
There's always the yearly fee of the,
Maintenance agreement?
I can't remember how much a year.
I think this system.
It's a subscription price, it's the $1,400.
I think the system we've got has been giving us problems for years. Because I
Yeah.
remember 10 years ago or better that you could go out there sometimes and it wouldn't take your card.
Right, and this would, I don't think, when it comes to technology for this stuff, I don't think an upgrade's gonna have to be for a lot of years, because we went from this one analog to digital, and that's why this one's really kind of causing issues.
I see, so you're saying that the subscription price would be a yearly
Yeah, and we already pay a yearly subscription already for,
for what we got now? So it would just be replacing it.
Okay. Is that all we've got? Okay. Any questions of Eric? Okay, if not, we'll go on to item 5, discussion and action to award.
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay.
How, is your part-time help guy stick with you during the school year?
One's not, he's on the golf team and got a lot of stuff going on, so actually last week was the 5th was his last day. And the other one I have, he does go to VOTEC. So he's been working Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and he'll continue through school through VOTEC, but he'll only be here in the afternoons from 11 to 5. But he's only got, I think he said he had 18 weeks left, but so he'll work as long as he works out and as long as he wants to. So then I have Jason still also.
So do you feel that's right now to get you through the winter, or do we need to start advertising? Because when they're coming back to school, it's a good time to.
Right. I'm not so much worried about the winter time. It'd be more to finish out the mowing season, but by the time we probably get someone hired and trained to be, so I don't, like I said, I don't have an issue going back to mowing. I was getting kind of used to sitting in here and doing some stuff.
Okay, then we'll go on to item 5, discussion and action to award the lowest value bid for the upgrade AWAS 3 such and such project.
So, the AWAS project was released for bid, and the OAC did have the project, or the bid, extended to Friday, so I didn't have the bids in at the time that we had the agenda prepared. But we did receive 2 valid bids. They were spec'd exactly the same, and both contractors are valid contractors with the FAA. Mesotech International had a bid of $119,000, and DBT Transportation Services had a bid of $101,426. The engineer's estimate for the project was $115,000, so pretty close estimate. The low bid is DBT Transportational Services at the $101,426. I will tell you that with this, this is with a grant through OAC and the FAA, and our match is 5%. So that amounts to, and I think, no, that's not in the letter I gave from Toby, or is it?
Is it about $6,562?
The 6,000, what I emailed out included the engineering costs, and so Toby found out after I had emailed you guys that OAC has already budgeted the engineering costs. So while we'll still have a 5% match, and our total is going to be that 6,000 whatever, the contract with OAC, our match with them for the work is going to be $5,072, and then we'll get a separate intergovernmental agreement with the OAC for the engineering, and which our cost will be $1,490. So total is going to be that 5,000 or 6,000, roughly 6,500. But for the purposes of the grant, and what we have on the agenda tonight, we'll be approving that 5,072 in item 6. And then later on, we'll bring that agreement with the OAC for the engineering back to the board.
You're optimistic that we're going to approve it? I say you're optimistic that we're going to approve it.
I don't remember the origin of the AWAS conversation, so I assumed it's something we need.
Yeah.
And for $5,000 out of the 100 and some,
The fact that we're not having to fund it.
yeah.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
So the first item 5 is to award the bid, and the second item is to authorize the signing of the agreements.
So I assume that Park Hill is familiar with the DVD, and that's the reason they're recommending their bid.
They're familiar with both of them. Either one of them are fine, but they were spec'd exactly the same. There is no difference in these 2 bids from one to the other than the price.
Okay.
Companies are both reputable, both have contracts with the FAA, both have done projects like this in the past. There's no discernible difference between.
I make a motion that we accept the DBT Transportation Services bid, subject to the receipt of the OAC grant.
Second.
Your motion second, call the roll, please.
Well,
Oh, you need-
just for point of clarification, that is for $101,426?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I should have said that.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Logston.
Yes. Next, we'll go item 6, discussion and action to authorize the mayor to execute the OAC grant agreement and all other necessary documents for the city of Alva's 5% match on the upgrade of the ambulance.
I have nothing else to add. What I just mentioned.
So we need no action on that.
We need a
No, we have
motion.
to take action on it, but I don't have anything else to explain.
I make a motion that we authorize the mayor to execute the OAC grant agreement and all other necessary documents for the city of Alva's 5% match on the upgrade AWAS 3 such and such project.
Second.
We have a motion second, call the roll, please.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Logston.
Yes. Next item, discussion and action on 5-year CIP.
I put that on there in the event that we had something back from Toby. We don't have anything back, so we can discuss it if we want, but I don't have anything to bring to you.
We discussed and gave him a general idea of the order of things. Our committee is waiting, at least on a rough draft of that, if you can encourage him to forward that, an unapproved draft, because we were wanting the numbers that they were putting in place for the different projects so that we can finalize our project and bring it back to the board. So,
Okay.
if you don't mind. As soon as we get that, we can call a committee meeting.
I don't mind.
Anything else on that item? If not, we'll take no action and go on to item 8, remarks and inquiries by airport commission members. And we have nothing. Next, we'll go to item 9, remarks and inquiries by citizens.
I had something to say. James Reaper, I'm the previous leaseholder, as you're all aware. There has been supposedly complaints made about my farming practices. I never heard about these complaints. You as the landlords never brought them to me. I could never act on them. If you'd come to me and asked me as the highest bidder, I could have given you my action plan. I could have told you I was going to spray for the joint grass this year. I was going to plant CL double stop and spray for it. I was going to take care of that. I was going to spray Quinstar herbicide on the bindweed. Already had a plan for that. But it seems like there was collusion to knock my bid out. Nothing was ever discussed with me. Never knew anything about it. As high bidder, I was high bidder when the bids were opened. Never received a notice to quit. Never received a notice that, hey, we're not going to renew the contract. I went out and took care of the weeds that were supposedly the problem that lost me this. And now I'm out a considerable amount of money for that. Because a reasonable person having the highest bid, and the way it's always been is, hey, the person with the highest bid will have it. 95, 99%. So I went out and worked the ground to take care of the weeds. And then I find out that I've lost it because of the weeds. Something about joint grass. I didn't introduce it. It was already here. Breaking out the grass that was broke out, there wasn't a lot of competition there from the wheat. Joint grass multiplied, propagated. Same thing. Anywhere where there was not good wheat cover, the joint grass came on. That's just a fact of life. Weather did that, not me, not my farming practices. I've got all the proof right here of all the fertilizer and all the herbicide I put on this place. A lot of money. And yet it said that I didn't do a good job. didn't get the rain is the problem. Thin wheat, more room for the weeds to grow. Weeds don't need the same amount of moisture. They grow faster than the wheat does. And yet, I'm a bad farmer and I lose it. Nobody ever discussed anything with me. I've never heard one complaint from the airport manager, from anybody on this board, from anybody from the city about anything I've been doing on this place. And yet, these complaints, whatever they were, are the reason that I lost the lease. What complaints? Were they ever entered in any official meetings, any minutes? Or is it something just taken out of the air? I did what I was supposed to do on this place. As it's been said, I was one rain away from having a good wheat crop. That's not just here, that's everywhere. Next time this thing's bid, should be as negligent as it was this time, not get it put in proper time. Was it negligence? Was it ineptness? Don't know, but it certainly, the bid notice weren't putting in the paper in time. Should have been done back in February, so knew ahead of time instead of after the fact. Now, I guess the question for maybe an action item in the future is, how am I going to be reimbursed for the work that I did? And am I ever going to have any official complaints? Or is it just the rumors and innuendos that I didn't do a good job? I worked the ground, I sprayed it, I fertilized, I did what I was supposed to. Thank you.
Okay. Any other remarks or inquiries by citizens? If not,